This is the Red All Over reaction show to last night's 2-1 loss against Notts County in the Virtue Trophy. We're going to also speak about Mladen Sormaz, who has been relieved of his duties as sporting director, as well as looking forward to this weekend's game as we make the trip down to Wickham, facing Michael Duff's Wycombe Wanderers. So let's get stuck into it. So, Tracy, we'll start with sort of the big news as such this week, because that Papa John's Johnson Paint Trophy, Checker Trade Virtue Trophy game, no one's really that bothered about it too much. But the sort of major news coming out of Oakwell is Mladen leaving his role as sporting director, which seemed a little bit more of a, like you said, a mutual decision, but kind of a little bit of a strange time. So the statement that the club put out saying Barnsley Football Club can confirm that Mladen Sormaz has departed the club by mutual consent. Sormaz was appointed as sporting director in February 2024 and will now serve a period of gardening leave. Mladen Sormaz said, "I'd like to thank the board for giving me the opportunity to be Barnsley FC's first sporting director. It was an honour. I'd also like to place on record of thanks to John Flatman and the senior leadership team. Finally, I'd like to wish the best to the fans, Connor and the staff, and the lads for the rest of the season ahead." Chairman Nirav Pakera also added the board of directors would like to place on record our thanks to Mladen for the work he's undertaken during his time with the club. We wish him all the best for the future. So, Tracy, seems a little bit of a weird timing for me personally, given sort of you look at all the way back in, what was it, July, that summer transfer window 2024, where not great, probably okay because of DKD that really saved it. Then that January of 25 was a real big sticking point of bringing in Clement Rodriguez, Jonathan Lewis, his name is a shop, and Neil Ferrugia in that window. And then this window, to be fair, I think we'd all said was good, but I do think part of that is down to Connor as well, pulling a few strings where he can do. So all in all, probably a little bit underwhelming from Mladen.
Yeah, I mean, firstly, am I glad he's gone? Yes. Am I surprised he's gone at this moment? Very. I think it's such a strange time for him to be gone. When Darrell Clarke got sacked last year, he needed to go at the same time because for me, he was equally as responsible, if not more responsible, for the situation that the team found themselves in. So when he didn't get sacked last year, I was furious. And then summer came this year. Yeah, it's done all right. I mean, we all sat here probably 4 or 5 weeks ago and said the transfer window in the summer's been pretty good. How much that's down to him, we don't know because a lot of it does seem linked to Connor and he does seem more of it, like he's had more of an impact on who we've selected, shall we say. But you've got to say he's had some impact. So I was thinking he's done all right. Obviously, we've had a bit of a downturn in form. That makes you think, I don't know, is that linked? But the timing is bizarre, just so bizarre. To put somebody out on gardening leave gives you the impression that, right, you're not coming to work tomorrow for whatever reason. So has something gone off? I don't know. But then to not have somebody to replace him, all right, we don't need somebody imminently, but the transfer window in January will be here before we know it. And looking at the situation that we're in, more than ever, we need to start looking for players now. And it just makes me think, who's doing that? Is it Connor? Is it John Flatman? Is it someone else? So it's just weird. I find the timing odd, to say the least. So did I think he should have been sacked at this moment in time? Probably not. But would I have loved him to be sacked? Yes, I think he should be out of a job anyway. But I just find it all quite surreal. So yeah, it'd be interesting. I just get the impression something has happened to trigger that now. It's the timing that is just strange.
Conspiracy theories. Dean, it is a little bit, as Jay said, it is a weird timing when sort of you look at the transfer window. And the one thing in the statement the club put out, they've not said we're looking for a replacement for him like they would do with a manager or sort of a member of staff that's left, like in the coaching team. It's normally like search is already underway to find a replacement. I cannot remember for the life of me if one was put out when Dame Murphy left as well, because obviously Paul Conway then took up that sort of void and role. So we know that the club or the previous ownership and the structure of it, of the directors previously, they can absorb this role because for me, this role is a little bit, it's just a halfway house of the board will be giving him a budget to work with. He's trying to appease Connor and ultimately the decision makers are still the board. He's just a middleman in between those things of trying to
Mm,
almost please everybody, but please no one at the same time.
mm. Yeah, I mean, I think so. I mean, it's our first venture into having a sporting director, and it hasn't really been terribly successful. Because my understanding of a sporting director is not only that they head up recruitment, obviously that's an essential part of the job, but also shape how the club should look. But in terms of the way we've moved, say, from last season, it seems all to be Connor and Connor's ideas and Connor's beliefs and Connor's philosophy about professionalism and so on and so forth. So I'm not really sure why he's gone. It could be for a whole raft of reasons, and we can only really speculate. I mean, it could be that Connor's turned around and said to the people he's connected to on the board, who I suspect are the crimes, maybe. Look, I'm trying to make a purse out of a sow's ear here. And had I got what I wanted, which I understood to be, a commanding centre back and reinforcements up front, neither of which turned up. And I mean, you can only speculate, but it almost looked like Rooney was just an afterthought, and came in very late because we hadn't signed anybody else. And frankly, having seen Rooney, he's not as good as Conor Barrett. He's not he's good on the ball. I accept that, but he looks like a pretty good academy player and not a first team League One player. So you start to look at maybe Connor's expressed some dissatisfaction about the the hand that he's been dealt, and certainly last night, which I know we're going to come on to, he was having to play people out of position. In terms of Bland, in terms of Vickers, in terms of Yoga Nathan, because he just didn't have any choice if he wanted to rest up, or better say, who was absolutely shattered after 3 games in a week. And then Phillips and Connell and so on, and Jack Shepherd. But his options were so limited that he had to play people out of position. And the first 15 minutes of that game demonstrated that it was just a group of squad players who'd been thrown together, who didn't really understand or know what they should be doing. All right, they settled down later, and I know we'll come on to that. So I don't know if it's that, if the club, I mean, the gardening leave surprises me. I can't quite get my head around this, because from my experience in business and corporate life is that people tend to be put on garden leave if there's an investigation of some description going on, but obviously that's not the case with this, or the club or the organisation are frightened that the person is going to take all the information away from his employers and pass it to somebody else. Now, I can't really see any other reason why he would be going on garden leave. Maybe I'm being a bit thick here.
No, it does seem a little bit strange, Tom. Obviously, I mean, I suppose he is in a bit of a sensitive position of he will have known maybe they've already started drawing up January targets and things like that, and hence why they've put him on gardening leave for as long as possible. Potentially, if he's on a 2-year contract or whatever, then after February it's almost fine because he won't go to another club and potentially poach any targets that have already been identified and those kind of things. But Tom, one thing that obviously we've noticed is it does seem like the split between sporting director and then I forget John Flatman's role, which is a lot more commercially minded compared to when we had a director of football in charge of Khalid, Dane Murphy, those people who sort of straddled both jobs and helped with the commercial side of it, and then also still helped with recruitment as well and sort of sign off on those kind of things. It does seem that you'd think when you split that job out into two of like you just focus on this part of it, you focus on this part, you'd get best of both worlds in terms of doing that and by giving that line of accountability from both sides. But it does seem since we split that role, especially from a playing side, it's just been slowly getting worse.
Yeah, obviously that January was just dreadful. With nothing coming in and nothing really being spent, um, other than sort of bringing Rodriguez in and John Lewis to just sort of waste wages because they were never going to get into the squad. Um, it just seemed bizarre. Obviously Ferrugia, possibility of him getting into the squad, but then got injured pretty quickly. Um, it, it, there's always plenty of free agents out there and deals to be done, loans, from Premier League or Championship teams, and we just seem to do nothing in January. Um, Obviously this summer's been a bit better. Like I looked at that summer transfer window, and I thought pretty decent to be fair. Bringing in you look at as strikers, as forward players. You think Vickers and McGoldrick that they're improvements on what we had before. Um, you look at Ogbetter at left back, and you think improvement. Tanai Watson again, an improvement. So as a general thing, this summer transfer window, I'm fairly happy. Um, so the sort of the timing of him being sacked at this point seems a bit strange. Um, rather than last year, like Tracy said, he should have really gone when Clark were given the boot. Um, it's weird because like when he came, I wasn't overly impressed anyway with his CV. He'd previously been at Huddersfield, saw a decline while he were in charge of them, and it's sort of same with us. It's sort of we seem to be on a decline. It's I don't know. I think if we got the right person in charge of the footballing side as a sporting director or footballing director or whatever you want to call them, I think it could be good. It could be you concentrate on getting the signings. You don't have to worry about anything else. Just get them through the door. If we need a new coach for whatever reason, a set piece coach or defensive, you concentrate on doing that, and it's all about the football inside. You don't have to worry about bringing in sponsors or anything like that. Which I think, if you look previously under like Khalid, he was sort of juggling so many plates. Everything's spinning. We were always bound to miss something. Um, Whereas sort of if all you're doing is that footballing role, you shouldn't be missing a beat. We should almost have the perfect transfer window. It should be we need a right back, we sign a right back. We need a striker, we sign a striker. It shouldn't be. I know we've got financial constraints, but there's freebies out there. There's loans out there. There's always something to be sort of wheeling and dealing, and I just don't. We seem to be slow on that. We always seem to be sort of last to be picking out players, and we're not the first to the trophy as it is.
In terms of that, Tracy, is that necessarily Mladen's fault though? Because obviously we're working within, as Tom said there, there's financial constraints that we're working within, and also players, agents, people in players' ears. Now, when it comes to that beginning part of a window, they're not that quick to go and sign with someone because they want to see what else out there. Look at who went to later on, Josh Cromer. Of it seemed like that deal was basically done. He took photos here, and there's a phone call at the very last minute, which realistically, in that scenario, I don't see how we've done anything wrong in terms of trying to get in there. If someone just comes and puts in more money, all you can do is either go and meet it or you go, that's it, you've got a decision to make there, and it's one of them two. You're not going to find a nice middle ground of being like, oh, like don't sign for them, we'll do it. Like a player's going to make a decision. So is that necessarily Mladen's fault, or is it one of those where there's not a more deep-rooted issue in terms of at the club, but something that we need to be mindful of it, in an ideal world, I'm sure Mladen would love to have had all the business done by July 7th and everything sorted and we're done and it's a lovely road time, but it's just not how it works.
No, I think two things. I think what I really disliked about Mladen and the club to some extent is we are so poor at communicating. So when even at the end or the beginning of transfer windows, and I don't want us coming out and saying we're trying to sign X, Y, and Z because you're never going to do that. But they never communicate anything, and even at the end of the window, they then don't come out and say anything about just to let you know we were close to signing. Again, not names, but we were really, and these fell through. And I've always found him to be really difficult whenever he has presented or spoke.
I do think as well, just building on that point, the one thing about that war chest of that summer, and realistically, financially wise, I think we paid a fee for DKD and that were it. Oh no, we paid a fee for Georgie Gent as well, and it was like, we've paid what, 800k, 900k in a window. Sadly, a war chest when you've got Wrexham and Birmingham in that league as well at the same time.
Yeah, and it was all around the same time where we got Max Waters as XG is the best in the country and all that sort of rubbish. And so that all, yeah, I'm not happy with that. In terms of him, I think my issue is, as I said before, I don't really know the impact that he's directly had himself. See, for me, as a club, we should be already identifying, and whoever it is should be now looking at January. It's clear to everybody that we are missing some depth in our squad, some quality depth in our squad, should I say. I'm not saying necessarily depth, but quality depth in our squad. And it's starting to show now. The last 3 games has certainly shown us that. So you would expect somebody within the club now is already starting to look, or as Tom says, he's looking around, right, well, there's players still playing at St George's Park every week who have not got clubs. Whatever. And I just think, what is he doing now? What does he do in the interim? We've got players that are out of contract next summer. Is he doing anything? Has that been looked at? Are we getting him out? I just think it's a really key time, and I don't know. I genuinely wish the club would come out and give a bit more information about this whole scenario of what's happening now then, because that's the point. Was he completely to blame? I don't know. I really don't know. And Tom said, and I said before about, well, all the players we got in this summer seem to be linked to Connor in some way, shape or form. So has Connor got them in and just bypassed Mladen? Has he gone and said, I want X, these are who I want, and get them in because I know they can do the job? Such as McGoldrick and things like that, they've got to have come through Connor, because I just won't imagine he would have come otherwise, because I guess he were on probably more money at Notts County. Certainly, I wouldn't imagine any less. And that, having seen him last night, I bet no questions why he has come. But yeah, I just think there's more to do. There has to be more, and whatever it is, I just wish the club would communicate and just let us know what's going on, rather than this statement, which in itself is shrouded in like, well, what does that mean?
Well, I mean, generally that kind of thing means that we've agreed that we're going to publicly say this, whatever might be the situation behind the scenes. And it just may be, again, I'm only speculating, that when you look at Ballard from Southampton, you look at Corona from Huddersfield, that actually Mladen let them slip through the net and end up at Orient. You just don't know. This is the problem. And as you say, the communicate. I mean, they're hardly going to turn around, but it could be down to his own personal performance issues, which, you know, somebody in the club has turned around and said, well, you know, this has happened, that's happened, or whatever. And we'll never know that. Of course we won't, unless somebody from within the club leaks it out. But so I think it's probably that, the performance issues in the background, where you've come to a mutual termination arrangement sort of thing. Why he's gone on gardening leave, I've no idea, but there's no need to go back over that.
But it was all over social media yesterday about, we're getting to replace him. You know, lots of names mentioned, lots of ex
Oh yeah.
execs, whatever, all coming. But get them. And I'm thinking, well, they haven't even said we're going to replace him. And so if we're
It,
not,
it could just be a cost saving exercise.
maybe.
I mean,
Right.
it won't be that cheap, and he's probably got a car and other benefits and so on. And maybe they've just turned around and said, "Well, you haven't done very well because Connor's done all this."
Neil Warnock and Mick McCarthy in charge by this January. You heard it here first. Tom, I mean, as joking as we can be about bringing ex-players back, because that's just something we love to do, bring ex-players back and give them some sort of job in the club. When you do look at clubs like Luton, though, put Mick
Hartford.
Yeah.
in charge of that role. You saw Luton's rise up to the Premier League, all the way from League One. Someone who understood the club inside out, knew what fans wanted, and then was able to mesh that together, coming from the previous experience of him being a player as well at that club and understanding it to that level. Not just a case of someone that had been there one season and then it's someone who's a legend who came in and almost had to knit everything together from coach perspective, player perspective, and you saw Luton's rise. Ultimately, it's been a downfall now all the way back to League One. But having someone in that position, it does go to show that having someone with football knowledge and experience of the game, selecting players to come in and play under a manager and system seems to work a little bit better than bringing someone who looks at a spreadsheet.
Yeah, well, I think top and bottom of it, if in any walk of life, in any job, um, if you're talking to somebody that knows what they're talking about, they know the background, it gives you more confidence. You know, if you're being sort of asked to do things and lectured by somebody that has no clue what they're talking about, you sort of switch off. You know, so I think having a person in charge of football that knows about football is just common sense, would you say? I don't know. But yeah, sort of the whole spreadsheet thing, it does work at other clubs. It could possibly work here. But I think it needs to be knitted together, like you said, with the football inside. I think you need, I don't know, I'd love it. I'd love a Warnock or a Mick McCarthy, a big character to come in and sort of almost be the identity of the club. 'Cause sort of managers nowadays sort of come and go, and you have your sporting director or your director of football, and they're sort of like your constant. They're the ones that are there planning sort of 5, 10 years in advance. Your manager's planning 2 week in advance, basically. Is this game and next game, and that's all he's really focused on. Because if you don't win his games, he's sacked. Whereas your footballing director, he should be the one that's like, right, this is our identity. We want to play expansive football. We want to play possession based football. We want to play on counter. Whatever they decide as a club, but then he should be then deciding, right, well, these are coaches. If Rain goes, this is a coach that plays that style of football. So we could be looking at him as a replacement, or these are players that really suit that. You know, we've got fast, pacey wingers. This is what we need to go for. But there just doesn't seem to be any joined up thinking at our club. It just seems to be sort of bumbling from one decision to next, and we get a couple of years. Oh, it's not really worked. Let's just do something else, and just we there's no there doesn't seem to be a plan. It just seems to be let's try what another club's done. Oh, that's not really worked. Let's try what another club's done. Oh, that's not really working. We're sort of like like Man United or League One. We just sort of one decision after another, and it doesn't seem to be there doesn't seem to be a plan. And I'd much rather us sort of say, you know what, we might not get promoted this season, but let's build something. Let's get players on long term contracts instead of waiting until they've got 6 months on the contract and then panicking and selling them for peanuts or letting them go in summer for nothing. I mean, like, Russell's going to end up going for nothing, and like Williams went for out, and I find that frustrating that we don't. Every other club seems to be able to tie down some players, and we don't seem to. He seems like an afterthought. Like we don't seem to bother.
I would say we've got better now. You look at sort of like we have had Luke O'Connell, Adam Phillips, if like sort of as a nucleus to hold on to. We have got better at it ever since that season when Connor, Samwin all decided to go in January. Like we have got better
Hmm.
as such since then. But I do appreciate there is still a few of like Jordan Williams, Herbie Kane, Nicky Cadden of that summer when that team just sort of went and we kind of since then it's almost like been fighting fires to get back into where we want to be, of challenge for that top six. I have just gone and found out what Mladen's day to day actually was because I'll be honest, I wasn't exactly too sure. So in his new, I've just found this from footballcareers.com, who said in his
Hmm.
new role, Mladen will lead football operations for the club, including negotiating incoming and outgoing transfers, player contracts across the men's and women's team, now just men's team,
Hmm.
and support a number of the club's departments in achieving objectives, including men's and women's coaching teams, the sports science team, and the youth academy. So I would say, as a whole, Tracy, I would say we have gone on a bit of a decline when you look at the places that we have finished in the season. Whilst Mladen's been in charge, we have been on a downward trajectory. That's a fact. It's out there of we have not finished as high as what we had done before he came in. But in terms of sort of the other side of it, of young players coming through and sort of the academy aspect of it, probably has got slightly better whilst he's been here. But I will caveat that with I don't know if that's more out of necessity rather than players being ready and good enough at this moment in time.
Yeah, and also with the coach being willing to put some belief in them, I think as well. That's the other thing. But I still think that's more out of necessity. I think if Connor put his hand on his heart, he would much prefer to bring some players who've got not so much last night, but certainly against sort of Port Vale at the weekend. Bring on somebody with a bit more experience and knowledge of the game at this level and what we need, rather than bringing on some of the academy lads who are doing, Young and Nathan, etc. Bland, they're doing a great job, but slowly, more increasingly, they're getting found out a little bit, and that's causing us problems, and that's not their fault. So I think he'd much rather do that. But is the academy better? I would say possibly. Dean, you watch a lot of the
Hmm.
under ones. I'm not going to sit here and
I think, yeah, I mean, I think a lot of credit has got to go to Nicky Eden because ever since he's taken charge of first the 18s and now the 21s, we have started producing quite significant numbers of players. You can argue whether they're ready or they're not, or whether they would have, had we had a more experienced squad, whether they would have been scratching the surface of that. But I mean, if you look at Bland, Jallo, Yoga Nathan, Flavel, Ravenhill, Rogan Ravenhill, and then you've got Kieran Graham as well, and potentially Leo Farrell. I mean, we have never, for a long time, or well, certainly for a long time, had that sort of depth of a crop of players coming through from the academy. Whether that's Mladen, I'm not sure, because Simon Collins is also, I think, head of coaching within the academy, as well as Nicky being there. Tom Harben obviously has had a significant effect on that as well. So,
Bobby Assel still involved in that?
sorry?
Is Bobby Assel still involved in there?
Oh, totally, yeah. I mean, he's the overall academy manager. So, yeah, I mean, he was on the touchline for the 21s against Sheffield Wednesday last week with Nicky Eden. So, yeah, he's very, very involved in it. So, you've got a whole raft of players. So, maybe, I mean, I suspect they've been left to their own devices and not, I'm probably being a bit cynical about Mladen, but, he just seemed to me to be a typical corporate kind of guy, and that was his background.
Just on all the coaching stuff you've mentioned,
Mm.
I don't think Mladen brought any of those in, did he? Like
They came
No,
on,
they were already.
I don't
came
think
on the
so.
ex-player bus. On the ex-player bus that turned up, they all just got off.
You know, I'm just saying that they were there previously before he came, and I would, you know, we're praising sort of the academy, but obviously the academy players have been there years. So Mladen's
No.
literally done nothing for the academy. He's just sort of bared the fruit of of a tree that somebody else has planted.
Yeah.
Oh, you'd never worked in a corporate job there, Tom, because that's all you do. Take credit for everyone else's work. Um, to be fair, that does would well, we'll go around each year. But Tom, would you bring in a new sporting director, or would you let? Because we know previous when Dave Murphy, I know the role was different of chief exec, but then Paul Conway took it on, which did probably create long-term issues of Obiolare, Aaron Larry Secker on big contracts, not
Big,
contributing very much at all, and just trying to find loans, which it did set like that transfer window he was in charge of did probably set us back a year or two of trying to get them off the wage bill and reinvest that back into the team. So it's proven that sometimes we do put board members on in roles like that, not great, but also at the same time, Heckingbottom basically did the job of Mladen whilst he was in charge to a fairly decent degree of success. Although I do remember that time when he was taking a transfer phone call about 20 minutes before we played Wolves, and Alex Mark got sent off after about 10 minutes.
It, it's one of them. If we get the right appointment, I think it could be a good thing. And, you don't want your manager doing everything.
yeah,
Basically, he
I,
should be concentrating.
I think Connor will want to do it. From everything I've read and seen, he's Mr. like organised, obsessed, whatever. I mean, I won't want to add it to his list of jobs, but I think he'll want to do it. I think he wants to be in charge of everything.
I think Connor wants to be in
Yeah,
charge of the football aspects of the job. I think the whole other aspects of the job of negotiating contracts, negotiating transfers with agents, particularly, I think that's a separate skill. And whether we've got that skill within house, I'm not sure. But I think, yeah, Connor would like the football side of it, but he doesn't. He hasn't got time to be arguing over what sort of car a player gets, or where they live, or what kind of goal bonus he gets. I mean that's a specialist job now in this football world. You can't get away with an ex-player who just knows about football.
We could do, we could, we,
Flatman could do that, couldn't he?
I think at
Who?
the same time though, Connor could help as well. When he said there, Flatman could do it, Tracy, and help out in that. I do think our combination is Connor's probably negotiate his own contracts at some point in his career. So I think he'll understand
Mm.
how to do that. I think it'd just need the basis and grounding of what's everyone else on,
Mm.
in relative of like, is this person worth £5 a week? Is this person worth a £2 goal bonus? Or in the words of Harry Redknapp, I'm not paying you to miss them as well. So
Came from like rugby league, didn't he? Where I guess he would have dealt with this sort of thing. I know it's not the same sport, but and I know they're not on the same sort of money, but negotiating contracts is negotiating contracts.
yeah, I think it's quite simple. Pay for your own car and pay for your own house. I don't know what more they could possibly
Work
do.
hard and crack on.
Yeah, I'll see you tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock. Train don't start till 12. You'll be here at 9 because you've asked me for a car. You'll be earning it. Get your thoughts down in the comments below on Mladen. And do you think he should be replaced? Do you think we need to replace him? If so, who would you replace him with? Would you bring in Mick McCarthy, Neil Warnock, go down next player route? Or do you think football's almost foregone those kind of people now and has developed a little bit more? If you look at Brighton, who we played the other week, they have just got unlimited regens of world-class players that no one's ever heard of using their data model, which
Diego.
yeah, which is
Bit better budget, maybe.
honest slightly, money by for about 50 million, but
you need
it
to
just
scale it down, don't you? Basically,
yeah. Well, I
you're
mean, when
fishing you're fishing the pond that that you can afford.
you look at where they're competing, though, with what they outlay, they're punching above whatever they are doing anyway. So yeah, get your thoughts down in the comments below. Right, on to the nuisance that is the Virtue Trophy. It was only good when it was Papa John's Trophy because you got half price pizzas. Now you don't get that, so absolutely no one's interested in this at all, I'm pretty sure. Apart from you, Dean, who made the trip to Nottingham on a Tuesday evening. So for a
Yeah,
we're at a 7 o'clock kickoff as well,
yeah, it was, and
and horrendous traffic.
the traffic was absolutely horrendous trying to get through Nottingham. But anyway, we
That
made it.
that that were a sign. That were a sign. They were trying to stop you from going. That were a sign.
Yeah, I know, I know. Yeah, did I? Was I excited about going? Not particularly. No, it's a competition I'm not really bothered about. And only means something if you end up at Wembley. Everything else seems a bit of a trial. Um, so yeah, I mean, it was when I looked at the team sheet, I thought, this looks a bit weird. And players sort of lined up, differently to what I would have imagined they were going to do. I was trying to work out who was playing left back for about the first 10 minutes of the game. And we look like a group of players from the squad who've been thrown together and didn't really know what they were doing. They kind of knew what they were doing, and we were all over the place. And I think Tom, I saw a message at some point saying this looks a complete mess, and it did. And of course, in that complete mess, they scored. Preventable, yes, probably. To me, it was a little bit similar to the Blackpool winner in that, the edge of the box wasn't being marshalled properly. I haven't seen it back, so I could be not been very fair on Vimal, but it seemed to me he should have made more of an effort as he should have done at Blackpool. So maybe that's a learning point for him. We did get into the game after about 20 minutes or so, 25 minutes, the last 20 minutes of the first half, we actually did get into the game. We started passing about. People looked a bit more comfortable on the ball. And we actually started to play with some pattern using Cleary, using Ferrugia, and actually created one or two decent chances. Obviously, the big one was DKD missing. Of all people you wanted it to fall to, it fell to him, and how on earth he managed to put that one wide, I don't know. And that was great work from Cleary on the left. Then Ferrugia had one, I think, cleared off the line or very close to the line, had done very well. And then Ferrugia blasted one into the seats of the open stand at one point, as did Russell. And, so there was no calmness, there was panic, I think. Then in the second half, we actually did look to come out with some purpose, more intensity. Yoga Nathan was pushing forward and trying to press more. Bland was looking more forward. And we got a good goal again from, I think it was the third time Cleary had beaten his left back and put a good ball in, and DKD finished. And it was, at that point, you're thinking, right, okay, we're going to take over. And then, unfortunately, Bland, who actually we were talking about at half time, was lucky to be on the pitch at half time, was just silly. I mean, he'll learn that you can't do that thing and let your teammates down. And from then on, we just looked disjointed again. People were changing every 5 minutes, changing position every 5 minutes. And we were thinking, well, we might get away with 2 points here because it could go to penalties. And I think Connor even thought that, brought the magnificent Josh Earl on to shore up the back for the last few minutes to make sure we did go to penalties. And then they scored. And the annoying thing about that was the same thing had happened about 3 minutes before, exactly the same thing, and they'd had a goal disallowed. And then they did it, as I say, they went down the flank, beat Josh Earl with ease, put the ball in, and that was it. So we didn't even have the excitement of penalties to bring us home in some kind of decent mood. But anyway, so that was it. That's a sort of my summary of the game. In terms of how we played, I thought that certain players did themselves no harm at all, and I think Clear is going to have to be given a go. I mean, I know it's against lower opposition, and I know one or two people said, yeah, but that's his level and la-di-da. But, you know, he can be a man, and he can cross it with both feet. Despite being right-footed, the 3 crosses at the start of the second half all came on his left foot, and they weren't bad crosses. They were just not anticipated by anybody in the box until DKD got on the end of one. So he did particularly well. We thought that Mile and Connor Barrett played reasonably well. Flavel did nothing wrong whatsoever that I could see, unless there's something that been, you know, a replay shows that he was at fault for the last goal because it was quite a long way away. But yeah, Vickers did okay in a strange role. The one overriding thing about the whole game for me was how easily we are bullied off the ball. And we haven't got players other than maybe Connell who stand up to it. And obviously Mark Roberts does. But we could just get knocked off the ball all the time. And we're desperately short of that sort of physical strength. And we lost possession so often through that. So anyway, that was it. Obviously, you had a different view of the game because you watched it on a screen. And of course, I get caught up in the emotion of it all. So I'll let somebody else have a go.
Tracy, I'll come to you. The one thing I would like to get on there is a little Race Cleary shout out there. What a player, by the way. Hope to see him starting on Saturday, Wayne Brown. We'll see him on that left-hand side, I think. Tracy, one thing you did say at the start is you got no idea where everyone's playing because everyone seems on the left-hand side and no one on the right. And it did seem a little bit like that. Obviously, we are very disjointed when you sort of look at a lineup of there's no real anchor in that midfield of someone experienced of Luke to just come and sort of grab hold of everyone basically like, look, you do this, you do that. It's in these games, it is a lot of young players and it's almost down to individual brilliance more than a collective team performance. But there was a point where I had absolutely zero idea where anyone was playing on that pitch for about 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah, it took me a good while. Well, we kept messaging, didn't we, saying, where's so-and-so playing? Why is Clear on the same side? Is Bland playing left back or is he like inverting into centre midfield? No idea what's going on. And to be fair, I'm not really sure they did. It was a mess. I thought it looked like a complete mess. And I think, have they trained like this? Has he planned this? Or have they just got a bus and he's just given them a raffle ticket and said, you're in? It looked disjointed is an understatement. Bland... I have to say, I think Connor's got to take some responsibility because we all said before our time he's going to get sent off. You've just said the same, Dean. So either you've got to have a word with him. He might have done, I don't know. But if not, take him off because he's been playing really well in that midfield role. I don't think he played well last night anyway, but he was playing I don't know when he was playing. But and I just think he's been playing really well, and now we lose him for a game. And that obviously it was stupid, but I think Connor's got to take some responsibility for that. As a young lad, I personally would have taken him off. I know hindsight's a wonderful thing, but you could see that coming. He should have been sent off before then, as you said. So I was not happy with that. It was awful. I thought it was awful. Fair play to you, Dean, for going and paying, driving, and sitting through it. It was hard enough watching from the couch. Where I could be distracted by anything really. I thought it was dreadful. Cleary, I thought he did himself probably some favours because let's be honest, the last few games we've lacked creativity going forwards. We didn't do for the first 5-6 weeks of the season, but we have now. We're not scoring the same. We're not creating the same. So I think he has to start. Yeah, it was poor. I don't think any of the ones that came in massively did a favour. You know, Russell weren't banging on the door. Was he saying, give me a start? I'm amazing. He did his usual, just lolling around the pitch, really. Came into it a little bit, but he's just, I don't know, I don't think he's bothered. But for me, the thing that is worrying me from the last, I'll exclude Brighton because I just thought they were much better, but from the last 3 performances, Blackpool second half, Port Vale and now this, is that we've lost our mojo in terms of everything that Connor brought at the beginning of the season: intensity, endeavour, fitness, enthusiasm. All the words we didn't lose last year, I now feel like they've disappeared again. It's as if somebody's switched them off. There don't seem to be that team cohesion. They don't seem to be enjoying the football the same. They don't seem to be happy. Something just doesn't seem right, and I don't know if this is linked to Mladen. You've no idea what's going on behind the scenes. Everyone speaks really well. You know, Mark Roberts at the weekend was saying how amazing Connor is. Everyone's bought into him, and you know he's going to do wonderful things. And I thoroughly hope that's the case. But something's just changed. Our intensity, our levels of. It's been said, you know, well, the last 3 games have been back to Clark and Collins. We've played backwards and sideways as much as we've played forwards, and I think. Yeah, I've got to agree in some respect, and it's not. Connor's said how he wants to play the game, and I think we had some identity for the first 5-6 weeks, and now I just think we don't know what we're doing, and that's not just because of the team yesterday. Because I thought we didn't look great. Well, we were awful against Port Vale, and we were awful against Blackpool second half. So since that international break, we played okay against Reading. Weren't great, but played okay. But since that break, it's as if that's killed us, really. So yeah, not impressed. Thought we were awful. Just a waste of. I'm just glad no one got injured, and we've I suppose all we've lost to Jonathan Bland for a game. But yeah, awful.
Just on Jonathan Bland, suspension only applies to the Virtue Trophy.
Oh, great.
Yeah, only applies to the Virtue Trophy.
I didn't realise that.
No, it's all right. To be fair, if I were him, I'd have done the same. Straight out of contention for the next game.
So he's now done it on a deliberate reason. He's not.
Yeah, he actually turns out he's a hero.
Right, take that all back. Well done, Jonathan.
Actually turns out he's a hero and just can't be bothered with his second round game.
I don't know how Maud didn't do
it. Game suspended through amount of sending off. Tom, one thing there which Tracy mentioned, and it does feel one of those things of a young coach still learning, is obviously Bland being sent off. You look at Vimal. Another, again, a stupid first yellow card for Vimal. Second one, still think he's unlucky. But still don't think that were a booking. I think it was just a follow through. And because he got to the ball before the Bolton player got sent off, I don't understand how that's. I don't know if that's a foul. It's just nature of how that tackle happened. But the Bland one, again, it does seem that sort of immaturity. And then also, Connor said he was planned to come off. I'm assuming around the hour mark, he was planning to come off. So he knew, Jonathan Bland knew how long he had left on the pitch to influence it or make an impact. Just don't make that kind of impact, though, whilst you're doing it.
He was just silliness, wasn't it, basically? They'd had a bit of a nibble at him. Probably thought he deserved a free kick. Certainly thought he'd got the throw in. And obviously, when it went against him, he hit the ball. I mean, it's such a petty yellow card. I mean, why referees can't understand that people are emotional? They get a little bit angry. It's not like he threw it at somebody. He just hit it onto the ground. It's not like it were delaying play. He's not kicked it away. I think the other player had actually got a ball from the original one that went out because Bland had picked one up off at the corner. So it weren't stopping play, weren't anything. It's just silliness. It's silliness from him for doing it. I just think it's just a bit daft from referee. Really, it's like it's needless. It's just petty, really. But we need to stop. Is that his third or fourth red card this season?
Third.
In games?
Third.
Yeah, it's just, we've not played that many games, have we? It's not like we're at Christmas and as discipline records is shocking. And and obviously that's sort of change its state of play, win game. I mean, we're looking fairly good at that point. We just got the equaliser. We were sort of. I know Tracy said we'd not got any intensity, but I thought for that first sort of 10 minutes of that half up until the sending off, we'd come out with a bit of a rocket up us. Like, Connor had given him a bit of a talking to at half time, and we started, well, move the ball quite well, created a few chances in that first sort of 5-10 minutes, and then sending off, it just changes everything, and we're on back foot, and we just defend him basically. Then just like Dean said, just to gain that point and hopefully get that second point from the weird penalty shootout from this horrendous cup. It's that nobody actually cares about. And Dean said, like, nobody cares about it until you get to Wembley. I don't think anybody cares about it unless you actually win it. If you get to Wembley and lose, it's another completely pointless day. So yeah, I wish they'd just sack it up and just get rid of it, to be honest with you. But you know, mid-season friendlies it is for now, until they actually get rid of it. Yeah, that's it really. I agree with Trace. I think Cleary and Dean obviously. That Cleary didn't do any harm to himself. Thought he's actually played quite decent in against Brighton as well. I thought he's not doing any harm for himself. But yeah, apart from him, there weren't really much of a bright spot we team. DKD obviously missing a sitter. It's really weird. He's got 5 goals and he just doesn't seem to be at his best. He's not like last year he was beating men for fun. He'd just drop that shoulder and curl the ball into right hand. It was beautiful to watch, and he's not done that yet. He's not had a shot from distance. He's just sort of, I don't know, just not quite with it.
You two on this bottom row saying that he's been rubbish. Scored 5 this season. I wish I were as bad as him as joint top scorer he was.
I think he's got 6 now. So
I wish.
Yeah, 6 it
I were
is.
as bad as him.
It's not that he's bad. It's just like end of last year he was so good, and like he set the standard so high, and you just sort of expect him to keep doing that. And I mean that miss clearly puts him through one-on-one keeper, and you just expect that net to ripple. You just expecting him to bust that net open. And he puts it wide, and it weren't even a powerful shot either. But like he's tried placing it in corner and just completely missed it. And
It looks
it's
like
not something you expect.
Does it? I think he doesn't look like he's playing with confidence for some reason. Yet last year, although we were playing worse, bar this last few blip, shall we say, we were playing worse and he was playing better. And I think now we've played generally better, and he just looks to be lacking in confidence. I don't know.
He's lost that. It's just this touch sometimes, I think. It just seems to have deserted him a little bit at the moment. And it could be confidence.
Just like to point that out. Who put DKD for again, Tom?
Cleary.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Just
wondering. And he got the assist as well.
Yeah. Just wondered if we're impacting these games that he's playing in. That's all.
The only impact going forwards. Yeah,
it just seems when Brighton subbed their right back off because he got turned 5 times in that first half, and the fault would probably need to stop him because he could be a bit of a problem for us. Yeah, just double checking on it whether we're making that difference and impact yesterday in that game. Ray's Cleary. For those of you who are against him still at this moment in time. Right, looking forward then to the weekend. We make the trip down to Wickham to play Michael Duff's Wycombe Wanderers, who I think I have just pulled up their stats and then immediately clicked off them because why wouldn't I have done that? As far as I know off the top of my head, yeah, I knew they didn't get off to a winning start, losing 2-1 to Wimbledon at the weekend.
Yeah.
Which, to be fair, a rising Wimbledon side who were sat 6th at the minute, 2 points above us. But, game in hand, not sound like Bolton that season, about 100 games in hand and won none of them, but still game in hand, so we could technically be sat 6th ourselves if we win that.
Oh, yes.
Tracy, how do you feel about this one? Because it's a little bit different of when Mike Dodds was in charge, and obviously Wickham got to a poor start, losing Richard Coney as well in the summer for them. Massive when I think he scored, what, 23, 24 last season. Everything he touched seemed to turn to gold. And I'm sure when we played him last season, Mark Roberts had to get sent off away from home. When he just went and absolutely hacked down someone on that wing. And I think I said he should never play for the club ever again after doing that. Might have been a tad reaction, so apologies for that, Mark. But end of last season, I think in the return, like when we played him at home this season, I think Matt Roberts scored a header in injury time. Maybe wrong. Could be a different game. Someone will correct me in the comments below, but I think I am right. I think we drew 2 apiece with him. The Matt Roberts scores late on. How do you feel about this one?
Pretty nervous, to be honest. I don't think we generally do well against them for a start off. We're playing Michael Duff, so that in itself always makes you think typical of next manager. Woodrow, I suppose, who's not really, pulled up any trees since he's been there, to be honest, because they don't score very many, or they haven't been scoring very many. Yeah, nervous. It's a bit of a Blackpool scenario, really, because we said we thought Blackpool would be better and they'd be better in the league and they'd be higher and they weren't, and then they beat us. And I feel similar about Wickham. I think they're 20th, aren't they? 8 points. Only won twice, I think, so far this season. So not massively made, and Duff coming in hasn't made an instant impact. But to be fair, he's only there since I think it was 18th of September, something like that. So he's not had a massive chance. And from reading, I read a couple of their reports, and it said that he certainly improved the defence to start with, which you would imagine would, and that they look better at the back. So maybe he could give us a few tips, because that would really help us. But yeah, I'm quite nervous about just the position that we're in currently in terms of, our play, where we're at. We've just done sort of a complete flip in the last month. Everything about the confidence that I think the fans had, the team had. I'm not going to say Connor, because he's been level-headed, but I just think we've done a flip, and I'm now looking at it not pessimistically, but far more reserved and a bit more nervous than I were 3 weeks ago, where we're thinking, do you know what? Looking at this league, we can beat anyone. Now I'm thinking, well, yeah, and anyone can beat us. So it's a bit, nervous.
Good teams don't lose 2 in a row, but great teams lose 4. That's what I've heard. So no one panic. That's the difference. I will let's point out I was correct as well with Matt Roberts with an 89th minute header to make it 2 apiece.
Oh, well done.
That's fantastic knowledge.
You can join my quiz team.
But only for obscure late minute equalisers, apparently. Dean, obviously, a different side than what Michael Duff left us with. Obviously, we have Mads Andens, but I think the only consistent would be Adam Phillips and Luke O'Connell from that side, who he did lead us with and took us to the League One player final. We'll not speak about the result. But a very different team. So it's not really one of them where he's going to know much about us, because different style, different formation as well from when you were there as well. Completely different players. If anything, probably a little bit of a benefit to us of we've seen a couple of his games already, and we've got a little bit more of an understanding of what he is like and what he'll be demanding and wanting from his players.
Yeah, I mean, I've had a look at Andy's away end, and it was interesting what.
I got even on, and now you've started promoting it.
What?
Spoilers.
Has he paid for that?
We old codgers have to
Slipped him a fiver.
We have to stick together. Nobody loves old people. So
I ain't mentioned it once on purpose.
Okay, so anyway, the guy, I can't remember his name now offhand, was saying a few interesting things. He was suggesting that Duff would change the way they play. Now, whether he chooses to do it so soon, I'm not sure. And he thinks that Duff will go to 3 at the back because although they've only conceded 13 goals in the league, the guy was suggesting they could quite easily have conceded a lot more than that. So that's what he's expecting. I agree. I mean, I don't think Duff can take anything away from what is his time with us, because it's a complete change, really. He'll know what Luke O'Connell can do, and he'll know what Adam Phillips can do. So it'll be down to them to prove that they can do it. um, so yeah, I'm a bit like Tracy, really. I mean, I was kind of brimming over with optimism after the first sort of 7 or 8, 9 games, but now you begin to wonder, can we actually sneak a result there? Whereas, you know, I would have thought, or I would have been looking for us to go and win 2 or 3 nil or something. And you know, confidence is low. There's no doubt, and I think that's clearly obvious. And I think that's probably as much a reason why we're playing across the back. I don't think it's anything to do with Connor playing backwards and across the back. It infuriates me. But I think that's all about confidence and bravery. It's a lot easier to pass it to your centre back from midfield than it is to pass it up front. Anyway, that's by the by. But one game can change it. One game can change that confidence. The last 4 games in a player's head will go completely out of the heads if they win on Saturday. So we just have to perform at the level of intensity that we have done in the past, and then I think we've got a decent chance of winning. I wouldn't say I'm terribly confident. A bit like Tracy, I'm kind of dreading it a little bit in one way. I'm having to take a lot of stick also from my 3 schoolmates who all support Bradford City. So it'd be handy if they lose to Rotherham tomorrow night and we win on Saturday.
It's fine, don't worry. We also fall off their season in about 3 weeks, I reckon. Don't worry about it. They won't be there come end of season. And if anyone puts that chicken picture in.
We're just about to say, you know what's going to happen now.
To be fair, honestly, I'd take us finishing 21st and doing double over Bradford so he doesn't see that stupid chicken picture on Twitter. I'd take that at this point of the season. Tom, as Dean said there, it does feel like one of those games now where we do start to need to see a reaction. You can excuse Brighton, you can excuse last night as well. It's a game that it's probably difficult to play to get excited for a play. You're playing a team at league below. They've made 7 or 8 changes themselves. Like, it's a disjointed performance. Brighton, even if it's their second team, is littered with international players. It's littered with players. I think Gomez cost what, 10 million quid, something like that, and he put 2 £10 million finishers away. You can't doubt about that. Such, the real problem sort of stems of that. What would it be now? About 120 minutes of Blackpool second half, Port Vale at the weekend. They're the games that we really care about as such. And it does seem like we need to do something to stop this flow and this sort of problem issue, which you think playing Port Vale, who not really pulled up too many trees so far this season, seem to just be getting started, that it'll be a game that we should. You look at the start of the season and think 3 points there, and obviously we struggled against them at the weekend. It wasn't a case of we were unlucky. They were just better than us and deserved it. So it does feel like there needs to be some sort of reaction now, almost to the point of, no, I'm not really talking about the result. I just want to see what we've seen in that first 6 games of quick attacking football and people actually just playing foot shirt. If you just want to see that level of commitment and effort.
Yeah, like you say, you can probably excuse 2 out of the 4 games. Blackpool, we played decent in first half, and obviously second half wasn't cracking, but we probably should have got a draw there. Port Vale is the one for me that were just horrendous. We just didn't look like scoring, and there were no intensity at all. Even at 1-0 down, it looked like we were just still passing it about and taking his time and being really patient in build up. But fine, Port Vale weren't bothered. They were like, okay, you pass it about it back. Um, it sort of reminded me. It were almost as if we were trying to play like how Brighton play with the De Zerbi ball, sort of pass it around the back and lure Port Vale onto us, and then try to beat them. But they didn't. weren't lured onto us. They were 1-0 up, and they're just like, okay, you pass it about it back. We'll just watch you do it. It's weird. We just what we need to do is like Tracy said, attack with intensity and pace, and be quick in transition, be quick on counter attack. Don't waste it. We seem to we've gone from quick triangles between Vickers and Phillips, and then quickly whipping ball into box and having a chance to them passing it between the sends, getting Tenai Watson back in, then passing it to Earl, and we're faffing about with it back, and everybody's got back into position then, and then we've got to Brett down 2 banks of 4, um, it's difficult if they're sitting in a low block, it is difficult. So, like I said, we need to do it with pace, and it's just so leisurely and yeah, it's not up to it. To be honest with you, I think if Duff has changed the sort of style of playing, gone to more of how we played under him for Wickham, that could give us a bit more joy. We play better against teams that are more open, that we've got a little bit of space to play in behind, um, and we're not sort of kind of Brett down 2 banks of 4. We struggled against Wimbledon, and they were happy to sit back and absorb the pressure. Port Vale were more than happy to sit back and absorb that pressure. Um, come and beat us. We'll nick it off you, and we'll hit you quickly on break. And their tactics were spot on that day. They just sort of, I think, I don't know. He chased his friend Martin some credit, and he might have done a number on him and just knew what Orion were going to do. But it, I think they got their tactics spot on that day, and it just made us look poor. But yeah, any team that sort of can absorb that pressure, we're going to struggle to beat them because we're just not quick enough. Whereas in first sort of 6 games, we were you know, we played against better sides that gave us a bit of space to play in behind, but we also moved ball quicker, and we just seem to be quite leisurely at the moment.
Sounds to me like could do someone that picks up ball, turns, drives at them. I did maybe on that left hand side, turns their right back a few times, or willing to run in behind and beat a man and carry her up pitch a little bit more instead of just getting an option. Reyes Cleary does that as well. Just
one on each side would be lovely. Cleary on one, Vickers on the other. Happy days.
Yep, who'd have thought it? We'll see on Saturday though when they line up. It's just so funny because there's just no one understands why I'm doing that. There's no one, everyone watching like
I do.
Josh really loves Reyes Cleary.
I do.
I might get on back of my shirt. I might get on back of my shirt this season. I ended up on back of my shirt since about 8 when I had Bobby Hassel on it.
Shall we say if we get so many comments, Red All Over will pay for a Reyes Cleary tattoo on your back?
Hey, that's all right with me. Let's go 500 comments. And I'll get this season's shirt, but as a full back piece with Cleary 19 up back. But in fact, Reyes Cleary can do it and all for 500 comments. Reyes Cleary can do a bit in it and all for that much. Get that penciled in. Get that penciled in.
I am tagging him on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok.
Look, if it's not going to take off, but if it does, I'm going to be in serious bother. It's a good job George has heard this whilst I'm still talking now, because that's me a right hard one to explain.
Yeah.
Coming back home with that. Right, predictions. Tracy, what are you going for?
Delightful artwork by Reyes Cleary coming up after a 1-1 draw.
Brilliant. Reyes Cleary assist stroke goal, I assume. Dean?
I think I can't say it's winning. I can't say it's keeping the clean sheet. So I'm going with Tracy, 1-0.
Oh, 2-1-1s. Assuming a Reyes Cleary goal as well in yours as well, Dean. Tom?
Oh yeah, Cleary will create our goal. I mean,
at least as a minimum.
It's given.
As a minimum. Tom?
I'm hoping Duff decides that he's going to play 3 at back with wing backs and push forward like he did under us, and it leaves us with a bit of space in behind. So I'm hoping we get a 2-1 win.
No, someone had to drop an Andy special in his absence.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go. We've had 2-1-1s. We've had a 2-1. I wish I could have two. Do you know what? I'm gonna put one now. I'm gonna assess them it now, and then once I've seen the team sheet, I might change it. Just a certain number 19. This number's going up. I'm gonna sit with you to actually and go for a one. I think a 1-1 draw as well. In this, if Reyes Cleary starts 3-1, easy. Because that right back, whoever their right back is, the best player in the world.
Yeah, probably is. So
because he's about to deal with best player in the world. Yeah, we'll go. I'll go one apiece. Reyes Cleary starts 3-1.
But it's better than Animal.
I don't know. We're only young when we were playing, as such. But he did just pick almost as good as Vazte.
Excellent.
He's like Vazte.
Hey, Ricardo.
Yeah, he just picks ball up and just decides, right, I'm off.
no.
And that's what we're missing. We're just missing someone that just turns around and goes, all right, then I'll go. If no one else is bothered. None of this passing it backwards. I'll just turn and have a little run. That's what on.
Yeah.
Right, we'll be back with our reaction on Sunday morning to the Wickham game. And there's a game next Tuesday or not? No, there's not, is there? And
No.
it's a game week.
A break.
Oh,
We're
one of them.
international break, yeah.
Just do them all the time. When's our next game then after that?
Bradford 18th, I think, away.
Yeah.
Oh, that is miles away. Yes, so we'll be back on Sunday with our reaction show to Wickham, which is a half-12 kick-off as well for those who are going. I've just seen that. And then we'll probably be back with midweek. We'll do probably a little sit-rep on where we are so far this season. So get ready for that. Oh, we might have a week off. Who knows? Tom's checking.
We might have a new sporting director.
Let's not get too racing now, Tracy. That is crazy talk. Right.
Mick McCarthy's here. He can't carry on like this.
Him and Neil Warnock taking it both on a part-time role apiece. Mick McCarthy does Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. Neil Warnock picks up rest because he's doing his book tour or podcast tour or whatever. He can't commit too much time. Isn't Mick McCarthy over in Greece?
McCarthy will be off for international break. He'll be doing something in Ireland.
Yeah.
Panathinaikos, didn't he, for...
Yeah, he were over in Greece for ages.
I don't think it was that long. I think it was about 6 months and got sacked.
That's what I like to see, a sign of someone doing well. Mick McCarthy is currently...
Big Macca.
Nothing, is it?
Unemployed.
Yeah.
Unemployed.
Unemployed.
Was it Panathinaikos that he were at, or...?
Mick McCarthy. This is the worst outro we've ever done.
What's all this? It don't matter, does it?
No, because what he said we're going now. He was not a manager in Greece. He was manager of Apol Nicosia.
Oh, that's Cyprus.
Cyprus.
Yeah. Nicosia.
Right.
Terrible knowledge from me and you there, Tom. I said Greece and then you said Panathinaikos. Terrible knowledge.
I thought it was.
Luke Steele went to Panathinaikos.
He did.
That might be what I'm thinking of.
Easily mixed up goalkeeper.
They're pretty much the same person.
I see where you're going. Right, apologies for this long outro, but we're back on Sunday with our reaction to Wickham, and then next week we'll be doing a little bit of a sit rep on where we're sitting, where we need to improve, and we'll see you there, you Reds.